This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast and are not intended to malign any religion, group, club, organization, business, individual, anyone, or anything. I'm Sarah Edmondson.
And I'm Anthony Nippy Ames. And this is
A Little Bit Culty.
Cults are commonplace now. From fandoms to fads, we're examining them all. We look at what happens when things that seem like a great thing at first go bad.
Every week, we chat with survivors, experts, and whistleblowers for real culty stories told directly by the people who lived through them, because we want you to learn a few things that we've had to learn the hard way.
For example, if you think you're too smart to get sucked into something culty, you might be prime recruitment material, and who knows, you could already be in a cult. If you're not aware of your programming, you're probably being programmed, so keep listening to find out.
We'll talk about all sorts of topics on the show, but be aware, this podcast might contain stories that could be alarming to some of our listeners, so please check our show notes for more detailed descriptions and take care of yourself.
Subscribe to our Patreon for Thursday bonus episodes, Q&A, and all sorts of exclusive content. That's patreon.com/a-little-bit-culty.
Welcome to Season 7 of A Little Bit Culty.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to my love.
Welcome back to A Little Bit Culty, everybody. This is your summer bonus drop. We're going to start things off commenting on the P. Diddy case. Our episode was recorded before and dropped after we heard all the news about it. And needless to say, we got plenty of people commenting in our inboxes, and we do have strong opinions about it, believe it or not. Racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, and coercion are the 2 counts he was acquitted of, and we think he should have been guilty of without a doubt based on our case and what we know. Sarah, I know you're fired up about this. Want to chime in on your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm almost like too pissed about it to even talk about it. It's just, this is such a bad precedent, and I think that the fact that he's only been found guilty on the lesser charges, it just makes me think like he's so much more powerful than Keith Raniere. I don't know how his lawyers, who, as you know, were also Keith Raniere's lawyer, I don't know how I pulled it off. Maybe it's something we can get Moira Penza back on the podcast to talk about at a later date. In the interim, we're just going to sit here stewing and figure out how to bring coercive control into the legal system in New York.
We were at dinner with a former guest of our show last night, and they asked, how is it that Keith got held accountable? And I just said, it's because he wasn't as powerful. And I think this is a clear case. I think P. Diddy's worse than Keith Raniere. Way worse. And I think he should have gotten way worse sentence. So to me, it's a clear indication that if you have power, there is no justice system for the people in power.
Speaking of which, what else is going on in that front, Nippy?
Which front is that, Sarah?
Epstein?
Yes, this is the one I'm pissed about the most. This came up last night as well. And the fact that all the 3 people in the Republican Party, Bongino, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, puffed their chest out and have been puffing their chest out for 3 years, saying they're going to get this client list. And to come out and say there is no client list, well, what's Ghislaine Maxwell in jail for? A client list. I'm done. I don't have the energy anymore.
So just to keep things light after those 2 pieces of terrible bombshell news, I should say, we're going to drop a little bonus here. That's a special one from the Patreon archives. And that reminds me, we've actually still not named this. We're going to do a little contest on Instagram the week that this drops, asking for people's input for what the Thursday bonus drop should be called. The winner will receive a pink fanny pack, a Little Bit Culty fanny pack. It's a hot limited edition item, as you know, only for the Inner Circle members of the Patreon. But I'm opening that up for the new winner of the person who names this bonus drop. And until then, this is a very special episode. These are 2 women who were dear friends of mine in NXIVM, and they haven't done much press, or if any, about NXIVM. It was a big hit over on Patreon at the end of last summer, so we're going to drop it here as well and share it with y'all. And it's a 2-parter, so it'll be spread over 2 weeks of bonus drops. So I hope you enjoy it. And in the interim, we're going to go back to the final round of edits for our book. If you're not on our newsletter list, we did just announce this so you can keep track of our progress. We are progressing. The book is now with a new editor of somebody who does not know us, does not know anything about cults, just so we can make sure that it made sense to people who weren't like knee deep in all this stuff with us, because sometimes we miss things that are obvious for people who don't know about coercive control and whatnot. So we're moving along, choosing a cover design shortly. That's very exciting. And in the interim, here's our very special guest. The intro is in the body of the podcast itself, so I'll let them do that there. But Lauren and Aaliyah, ex-NXIVM members.
Deuces.
Enjoy.
There you are. Okay.
Hi.
Wow.
All good. All good. We're
Look
just
at here.
vibing and flowing.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God, you guys.
Hi.
I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm a little amped. I think because there was so much happening this morning, but also
Yeah.
because like I've been swimming, thinking about this for the last couple of days and like, just going down the memory lane rabbit hole of chaos that we experienced. It's been interesting. So
It's been 7 years since we've really dug into it together.
yeah, and you guys are in it all the time, but like I don't.
I
go in
know.
it.
I it's a smaller part of my life as we move forward.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, we might almost be done, but before we're done, we'd like to just catch up with everybody that we could find that we haven't caught up with. So for those people on our listenership who don't know why this is so exciting, why don't we do a couple just like brief introductions of, who you are, where you live, and just a little teaser of what your role was in NXIVM.
Oh dear.
And that might be a good place to start. Also, just because there's 3 women voices on this podcast, Nippy will be easy to distinguish. But for those who can't see you, just for like...
That's smart because we do have a similar voice energy.
Aaliyah, let's start with you. How are you? Other than, your chaotic morning with your gas, how are you? Where are you? And what was your role in the cult that was NXIVM?
My sweet little best role of my life. I am in Vancouver, BC, Canada, and I'm an actress. I'm a juicy living coach and a podcast host of This Juicy Life with my bestie Lauren, who is here as well with us.
Awesome.
And my role in NXIVM was, I pretty quickly became a coach because I was stoked about helping people and was pressured into being a coach because I was told I was going to be really good at it, and I was, and it was I was a coach that never really climbed the ladder because I actually realized at some point that the people that were really high up, apart from like you, Sarah, and a couple others, everyone that lived in Albany was pretty miserable, and I knew in the back of my mind I was like, I don't want to be a proctor because that shit looks like boring and terrible, and like you're sort of like traded your whole life to this thing. But it wasn't like a forefront conscious thought. It was just like I'm just gonna sit back here and do the things I like and get all the good stuff for me out of this program. But like the straight path was not exciting to me at all. And I'm sure you guys you've gotten into like the straight path and stuff like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to Proctor and decided what you decided.
I, however, was like, I'm going to go as fast and as high as I can. And then was like, this sucks. But I totally get that. And my version of that was like, doing my version of NXIVM in Vancouver and not all the stuff I was supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like, and we'll get into it, but I think we sort of, the way I justified all of it for myself was like, I felt like I was getting good things for me, and I could understand that other people were doing it differently, and that was okay. Like that was their version of their life, but I could see like, I don't want that life, but I like this life, and this is working for me until it didn't.
Right. I want to hear about how you got in. We'll come back after we introduce Lauren.
Yeah,
Lauren,
hi.
how you doing?
I'm good. I'm coming to you from Owen Sound, which is my hometown, which I moved to from Toronto. So I was from Toronto, moved to Vancouver, found my way into the community. there into the cult, which I lovingly used to call my cult to all my friends. I'd be like, yeah, I've got my cult camp this summer. And everyone would be like, you're in a cult. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in a cult. Until I found out that it was a real legit cult. Yeah, so I don't know if you remember this, Sarah, but we had a conversation with someone else, you, me, and Mark Vicente, about opening a Toronto center.
I don't remember that.
Fuck. That
Thank
never
fucking God.
happened. And that was like similar to what Aaliyah said. There was no end point. So when I thought about that, I was like, where would you even but it never ends. It never ends. There's always more things that you have to do and participate in, and there's no, you just arrive, and so that was always the thing that was a deterrent for me in that. But yeah, I was on the straight path as well, sort of, but was really bad at enrolling people because ultimately I felt that there was something going on that I just couldn't get past subconsciously. And so, yeah, I was a coach as well. It took me a long time to decide to become a coach because I was always on the outskirts before I decided to finally commit and go in. So I was in for several years before I decided to go on the straight path. But yeah.
Amazing. Okay, Aaliyah, who brought you in, and what did you think you were signing up for? What was the hook? What got you?
It was so good. I went to a jeunesse weekend. I was brought in by my friend Ashley, who was an actress who never actually ended up doing any NXIVM. She just brought me to the jeunesse weekend because she knew Allison Mack. And she brought 5 girls with her. And so we all went and did this weekend, and it was a big one. There was a lot of women. And yeah, there was all these amazing women like Allison and a bunch of other people that were really successful and really successful actresses and scientists and, financial advisors, people that were top of their game in their field. And they were really it was their energy. They were open, they were radiant. And I went up to them and said, what's up? You guys are awesome humans. What are you doing? What's the secret? And they were like, oh, well, we do this other program. And so I just said, sign me up. Yes, I'm a yes. I'll drop $2,000 and do this thing because I didn't need to know what it really was. It's just the people were great and I'm up for trying anything. And so that was it. I went and did a 5-day and I loved it. I loved the breaking through limitations. I loved being emotional. I loved getting into the shit and feeling liberated and then it was off to the races.
You did the
from
one
there.
at UBC, right? That was your first one?
Yes.
How was this?
Well, wait.
I staffed that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was the 5-day at UBC. I know that the rest of it, the rest of the 16-day was definitely at UBC. Yeah, I think it was the first 5 days at UBC.
I staffed that training.
Yeah.
And the jeunesse was at
Nancy EM'd me.
M's apartment, right? The jeunesse training, the first thing was at M's condo?
No, it was at an art gallery or something. It was quite big. The
chocolate making party was at her apartment afterwards. That's I think where I first met. I'm trying to remember when I first met you, and I think it was. I remember making chocolate in M's condo. Does that sound familiar?
Maybe. I mean, we did make a lot of chocolate in those years.
What was
it could
the
have been
secret
that,
to
or it could have
NXIVM?
been. I did go to a enrollment meeting, but I was already basically I had already signed up. But I went and. It wasn't you, somebody else was doing it. I want to
Daniel
say
Packard?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember, I don't know if you know this even, that there was a fight over who was going to be your sponsor.
Was there a lot of
dude,
behind the scenes stuff that I didn't know
There's
about?
so many behind the scenes petty fights that went on that
I just have to explain how crazy this is. It's people were owned. When you brought somebody in, they were yours. You were, and there was a certain responsibility when you brought somebody in. You had to take care of them, and you had to grow them and help raise them like little duckies. Remember we used that word, your little duckies. But there's something nice about that. But there's also it's just so gross. I just remember it being should you go under Allison Mack because you came to the jeunesse meeting through them, but then it was M who got you on paper for the fight. There's all these things about who got them on paper, but who invited them in the first place. And so it always default to who the first invite was. But then if the first person couldn't do it, then it would go to the second, who actually did the work to get them on paper.
Because it was all about climbing the ladder and making money essentially off of them. And it wasn't like this altruistic, like, you know, I really want to take care of this. I mean, there was an element of
Right.
that for sure, but yeah, the fight for, that's so interesting. I did not realize I was being fought over. I mean, I feel so honored.
Yeah. No, you totally
Yeah,
were.
imagine that
And-
transparency was there.
But that was like one of, I could think of a dozen of those at least a dozen, maybe 2 dozen that happened in my time there, where people were like even infighting between sisters who like brought in their mother, you know, like would the mother go under
Oh God.
the
how do you structure it? Yeah.
like the two sisters were coaches and they brought their mother. Where does the mother go?
Yeah, and it's not a cult.
Yeah, exactly. Nor an MLM scheme.
No.
It's not an MLM. We're just going to make a pyramid out of your family members.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Anyway, okay, we'll come back to the rest of your journey. Lauren, who brought you in and how'd you hear about it?
Well, I heard about it in acting class. So I think Aaliyah was at the same acting studio as well. And it was like some kind of open house. And I just heard a few friends talking about this like personal development course. And I had been considering Landmark in Toronto before I moved to Vancouver. And I've always been a seeker as well, and always read all the self-help books and all of the things. But I think I was always looking for the answer, like what was going to be the thing that was going to help me. And so I found out, I was like, who's talking about this? And so I like to say that I enrolled myself, because I went and found the person who became my quote unquote sponsor, and was like, what is this? What's the deal with this? Tell me about this. And how do I get involved? Like, I want to know more. And so then they were a bit timid. So they invited someone else to perform the sales call. We had coffee and we had this whole, and it was basically like getting me into like the heart of what I really wanted, you know? And I really wanted at that time to grow my acting career. I was like, I really want to like, you know, do all these things, but I like, oh, and you have a feeling like you can't, and you're being held back. And that was the bait for me, was really the like, oh, this program has all the answers. But I wasn't willing to go in like to the 5-day to do all of that. So I did the long route, the gym membership, quote unquote.
That makes sense.
Ethos. So my first like time was a weekend. Ethos. It was a weekend, and I thought it was really weird. Yeah.
But wait, I'm just guessing, as someone who used to do sales, did they say that this program would help you remove that feeling so that you
Can't
felt like
remember. I just remember them like drawing a picture and like having a thing, and I was like, okay. But I was already like in my mind enrolled because I was like, yeah. Similarly, I was like, I'll try it, but the money was a lot more than I was expecting, I think, at the time, and that's why I opted for the monthly payment, I think. And yeah, so that was the start of it. And then I never really got the like hit that I think most people got from the 5-day
Right.
Yeah.
intensive. So
Yeah.
it took me like 2 years to really be like, oh, I see what this is about now. Like it took a long time, and I
Ethos
wasn't
was definitely
yeah.
slower.
I always was amazed at people who did ethos and stayed with it, because I always felt like that first weekend was like a lot of like not the good shit.
Right. No, a lot of rules
Yeah.
and rituals, communication,
Yeah.
reading Chicken Soup for the Soul, doing the telephone game. It feels like it's, I know. Yeah, remember
Learning
that?
by doing by John Holt.
Fuck, man. And then it's like,
Yeah.
honesty and disclosure. Honesty and disclosure is a complicated module in as much as understanding it. You have to, I mean, I hate to say this, you have to do it 3 times to get what they're trying to, you know, and to teach it, to understand it too. So like, yeah.
But I think
The
Allison
intensive
Mack
way
was at
more-
mine. She was at my thing, so that was kind of a like, ooh, Allison Mack's here.
Allison Mack was definitely used as a lure,
Yeah,
God.
for sure.
as a little hook. Like, you too can have a shiny
Yeah.
career.
How do you guys feel about Allison Mack?
I'll let you speak.
Honestly,
No, lie.
no, I mean, yeah. Okay, so I feel really bad for her. I honestly
so
feel
do I.
really bad for her.
Yeah.
I feel like she just got so like, I think she was just so hungry to be feel worthy and accepted that she just
Totally
got
agree.
swiped. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like really bad for her the whole time through it. I was like, oh God, she's just like, she doesn't really, it's not her, you know,
Right.
she's just on the train, and the train can't stop. because there is no stop.
Yeah.
And so everything has to be a justification for that.
Yeah.
It
Totally.
has to make sense.
I remember even thinking that, like, when I was still totally devoted and enrolled, like going to stay at
Me too.
Mark and Bonnie's house, right? And Allison lived in that bottom floor. And I just remember thinking, like, why are you living here? Like, go back to your career. Like, you could use the tool. Like, I still thought NXIVM was great, and I didn't think that was a good choice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
that thing, I mean, with Albany. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
you come here and your life dies. Like, it was like, it was evident. And yet, I still was able to justify what I was getting out of it, and that I could come in, do a level 2 training and I mean, I would leave those level 2 trainings on fire. Like, I would feel like, I remember after Human Pain, just being like so, feeling invincible. And so I was like, this shit's working for me still. But to go there felt like a death sentence.
Yeah.
The Albany Center had the vibe of a funeral home.
Yeah.
Dude,
It was really morose. It was like,
And if you said anything like that, then do you remember what they'd say to you? Like a leader, like if you said something about like how you didn't want to move to Albany. Did anyone ever ask you to move to Albany?
Yes.
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 And what was your how did you escape it?
No.
We'll just jump right to the red flags.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was just, I mean, I thankfully, like, I was in a relationship, in Vancouver, but it was also like, I was clear in my mind. ESP or NXIVM was always like my personal growth gym that would help me in the rest of my life. So I was still very focused on my acting career. I had lots of other friends that weren't in the program. I had a partner. So that tethered me into the real world and not being sucked into that vortex, I think.
This podcast wouldn't even exist without our amazing, supportive, generous patrons. Come find us on Patreon. We are at patreon.com/littlebitculty. Go there for bonus episodes, live Q&As with past guests, exclusive content, and lots of other goodies. Subscribe now and help us keep this podcast going. That's patreon.com/littlebitculty. And now, a brief message from our Little Bit Culty sponsors. And remember, when you support our sponsors, you're supporting this podcast. You've heard from our sponsors. Now let's get back to a Little Bit Culty, shall we?
And I mean, I just remember being there and being like volleyball. Like, volleyball to me was like the lamest thing. Like,
I never got to go.
I went once with Nikki
Just
because I
once?
stayed with Nikki a lot.
Yeah.
And I went once, and I was like, this is dumb. Like, this is, first of all, it's 1 a.m. It's like so late. I want to be sleeping. We're training early in the morning. Like, I want to be fresh. Second of all, it feels high school. Like, it was just so, to me, it was just so weird. And so, I went once and was like, never again. I got invited a lot. And I learned later that was kind of like the gateway into like Keith's vortex. So thank God. I thought that was really dumb and just...
The vortex. What do you call it?
Oh my God. And I was like, don't ruin the word vortex for me. Like, don't ruin another word.
thank you, Vortex.
Speaking of which, I'm going to derail this conversation for just a minute. We're going to come back to this point about volleyball. But what other words have been ruined for you? Like goals? Are goals ruined?
Yeah, goals is tricky. As coaches now, like when, we do things in an entirely different way. But yeah, even just the notion of... I don't know, just...
Limiting beliefs?
Yeah, limiting beliefs.
Limiting beliefs.
Even, you know what words that I even, like, I'm like, fuck, these words have been ruined for me. Integrity, character, discipline. Like, great words.
Yeah.
Great words.
Yeah.
But, like, holy shit, I have an allergy to those words because of all of the shit. And those words were really influential in the boiling of the toad, like the slippery slope into why the women, joined DOS, because it was like, women are weak and in order to have real discipline. Like, I remember, just being constantly pitched as if you want more character discipline, and being made to believe that I had none of that, like that was where I really, and I mean, there's some truth to like the struggle in those areas. So I was like, yes, I need more of those things. But
As a free spirit that you are, not a weak person.
No, not a weak person, but I go with the flow.
But it goes, but that goes for everybody, not just...
But Aaliyah is especially a free spirit.
Oh yeah, I mean,
all my friends.
If I
Trust
ran
me.
into you at a concert in Hornby, you're
That tells you exactly.
by myself in my camper
by
van.
yourself and
1,000%. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But the problem was more that it was about women, though. It was
Yes.
women lack
Yes.
discipline,
It makes a
character,
misogynist
integrity.
because men don't, right?
Men don't. Men
none of
have
those
that
out
quality. Women don't, and that was the real indoctrination, I think, and the premise of a lot
Yes.
of like the
That's where it
gymnast
turned
stuff
around.
That
and
shit
where
chapped
a
my
lot of
ass.
shit kind
That
of went. Yeah,
Totally chaps my ass and continues to, because if I do bail on something, I have Nippy in the background going, character, honor, or discipline.
Yeah. What would Keith say?
Rolling his eyes. I mean, like,
yeah,
WWKD.
yeah. Jesus.
Sidebar, not to minimize anything, but in the back of my mind, when all this stuff was going on, was like, when is it going to be okay for me to tell this joke?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because I had a whole like joke writing thing going on back there. Of
course you did.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably like 3 or 4 years from now where I can say that.
Yeah.
And then
Oh my god.
finally I busted out and Sarah was like, what would Keith say about your character? Or something like that.
Yeah.
She just rolls her
Oh
eyes.
my
I think
God.
I'm
I think
glad
that
we're
was
joking about it now.
that was
right?
the thing that actually kept Aaliyah and I afloat. I think is that we could laugh back and forth with each other and just be like, "This is the most ridiculous shit
insane.
ever. Like, is this for real? Like, no, you've got to be joking." And my whole joke was like, "Why the fuck didn't I get chosen? Why was I never pitched?"
Why
Didn't anyone try to
didn't go to
enroll me
volleyball.
into DOS? Yeah.
Well,
like,
Nick
I-
called you a lot. Remember?
Yeah, so
there was a lot of
in hindsight, speaking of moving to Albany,
yeah.
that there was a real push, and if I go back in the timeline, there was a real push the last week that we were all at together. Afterwards, I got nonstop phone calls, and it was all about me moving, and I didn't answer them. And of course, because it had been baked into me that if I don't move to Albany, I'm not committed to my growth. I'm not committed to my success, that I'll never be able to make it. And I was like, I have a job in Toronto that I like. And they were like, you have to quit. You have to come here. Keith will change your life. It was like nonstop.
Who was
And
pushing
so-
that for that? Can you say? Are they out?
Well, it was Nikki. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Did you guys get the chance to like offer work, get to work with Keith, or Keith was thinking of you and he wanted you for this project or something like that?
Not for me.
So what was she telling you to do in New York? I'll come back to your second, Leah. But what was Nikki inviting you to do in New York?
She wanted me to move there and work. Well, I guess it was to learn from Keith, but there was no specific invitation around it. But it was like Keith changed her life, and she can't imagine, all of the things that, I don't know, it was just going to change my life, and I had to move to Albany. And so she would call me all the time, but I never picked up the phone.
So
And
that
I
probably
always
was
felt
the
bad.
invitation for DOS.
I think
I
in,
think it
in
was,
hindsight
yeah.
now it was that, but
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, what is the, like, after all of that, like, what's the, like,
Is there still the other group of women who are like,
Yeah.
have the newspaper and all that and stuff? Are they still?
Yeah, you can follow them on Instagram. And they do YouTube videos. The last YouTube video I watched was when the news about P. Diddy first came out.
Oh.
And they were basically saying that it looks like the media trying to do the same thing that they did to Keith. And I
Oh
mean,
God!
that video
So they're
does not.
defending. Oh God!
Yeah, defending P. Diddy. I wish I could comment on it, but I can't because I've disabled comments. But I was like, well, this video didn't age well.
Yeah.
Did they see
Both
the
of them-
video of him? Like, do they?
The video had just come out. Leah was saying,
Something came out last spring. Remember with P. Diddy, there were rumors where they raided his house. It was in
Yes.
response to that. And there's like a 2-3 month delay. And then
yeah, so this is
he
before
came
the
out
most
with
recent
the,
news.
quote, baby lotion.
Baby oil.
And he has the same lawyer that Keith has.
Did you know that?
Oh,
Agnifilo.
no.
P. Diddy's
Stop
lawyer is
it.
Mark Agnifilo. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
wow.
they asked him about the baby oil. He's like, well, Americans buy in bulk, so it's not a big deal.
And these are just consenting adults and doing what consenting adults do. It might not be conventional,
This is
which
his
was the
lane.
same
It's his
Yeah.
lane.
angle.
yeah.
It's just like, can you imagine
The same.
P. Diddy's team being like, let's choose the guy who wasn't able to get this other guy
Yeah,
off for
yeah.
the same charges and is now in jail for 120 years.
Wow.
Oh my God!
Wow. That's wow.
The NXIVM world just keeps giving and giving. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Just keeps
Really-
giving.
really
I mean, yeah.
does.
I have like a list of 1,000 things that were red flags and chap my ass after.
Oh,
like,
let's get to
really
that.
thinking
fire.
about
So
it.
I derailed from the volleyball, which was 100% a red flag for all of us.
Oh,
So
and the
Lauren,
cafe.
by the way, if it makes you feel better, you were targeted.
Well, I tell myself that I was targeted afterwards, because for a while I was just like, what am I, like too pear-shaped for Keith? Like, what's going on? Like,
Do I need to lose weight?
Girl, you just didn't answer the call. You didn't answer
Lauren,
the call.
answer the call.
just so you know, it makes you. I also felt the same way. And when people said that he, when there were rumors, I was like, well, if he was doing that with women, why wouldn't he have hit on me? But then I found out that the invitation for X, Y, and Z business 5 times was the beginning that I didn't.
Tell yourself what you need to, Sarah.
Yeah.
I'm hot enough for Keith.
Exactly. We're hot enough for Keith. Okay.
I thought it was more like you needed to be protected because you were such a face of the company and such a good enroller that I think to fuck with you.
I think it was both.
You could screw that up.
I think it was both. That's what I thought at first, that they were just keeping me for the pipeline.
Yeah, you were responsible for
bringing in everybody.
Most. I don't mean it like that. Sorry, no. I mean, you enrolled a lot of the people that I think he saw you as.
But looking back, he did invite me to Albany. Like when he started
It's okay,
10C.
you make the Keith
No,
cut.
10C. Were you guys around for that? I think it was after you joined. But when Nikki and Allison and KK were first involved, we were doing this company called 10C, which was for college students. This would be 2008. And he
sounds
brought
like
us
I heard
all,
about it, but it was after or before my time.
Yeah, and it didn't go anywhere. But Allison and Nikki moved to Albany to start that project. That's what brought them to Albany. I couldn't afford to go to Albany, nor did I want to go to Albany. And that was sort of in the back of my mind too. Like you said, Aaliyah, is like a lot of the things that he invited me to do, I just thought were dumb ideas.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
They were, and they weren't really ideas that were meant to be done. They were just meant to bring people closer to him, which is how he got them.
Aaliyah and I did live in Albany for a short time.
Yeah.
For the source?
Yeah. I
She
was
did
there
the
for
source and I did
5
the
weeks or
knife.
something. Yeah, and it was the
knife.
weirdest
God.
shit. Like the cafe, remember the cafe that was like
Start
not
Point.
a cafe? Start Point. that had like a really weak menu and everything had the calories on it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
That's a red flag.
God.
Let's start a cafe. Everything's got the.
I will tell you what a red flag is. A major red flag was seeing Allison Mack at the buffet at V Week with the scale putting pieces of carrot and lettuce on it. That was a big red flag for me. But in my mind, I could put her, I could like be like, that's just her
Compartmentalize?
thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
compartmentalize. Yeah, I could be like that.
You're on a
that's
goals
her
plan.
thing, and like, okay, measurement. Like that's that's how you do goals. And so I was like, okay, well, everyone's like measuring. I guess calories are the easiest measurement for people. Like, all right, okay, that's their thing, not mine.
That's an easy red flag to dismiss.
Yeah.
You were not going to
Yeah.
think she's measuring herself to be 100 pounds so that Keith will.
Well, also, it's a
Yeah.
goals program.
Yeah.
And she wants to lose weight. So that's.
Yeah, but she didn't need to lose any weight in it.
No, I
that was
know.
kind of
I
the
know.
like really scary part about it.
The
but
last
I was
time I saw her,
okay.
she was very, 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 very,
very
thin.
thin. Well, she
That
just
was a
got
big red flag.
progressively
Yeah.
like thinner and thinner, and
Yeah.
and then it was like, ooh, what's going on here? But
Yeah.
again, compartmentalize. I mean, God, how about the mouth kissing? The whole like
That's-
greeting.
That
with
should have
the-
been a mouth kiss. I kind of miss mouth kissing my girlfriends. Is that weird?
No, I think it's just the fact that in Albany, everyone did it, and it was like there was no like question of whether or not like there was no rapport check. It was just like that's what you did. And so like I remember when I don't know, it was like Mark Hillsworth or somebody came in and like just planted one on me, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like
I think I had a
You're my
mouth kiss
friend.
with Vanguard. I legit think that I like ran into him at V Week, and it was like just like, oh fuck, it's happening, fuck, and then it was like it happened. I think that happened. There was no tongue, but I think it happened. Yeah.
They were
Also, the forums. Can we talk about how, like, towards the end of like my time, I was like, I knew it was. I didn't know it was bullshit. I just knew that I thought that I wasn't like smart enough to pick up on the nuances of whatever the fuck he was teaching. So I'd be like, I'm going to bed, because they were always at like,
11 till 2.
yeah. Absurd hours, so that you were too tired to realize that it was bullshit. And so I would just go to bed, and people would be like, how could you have missed the forum? Like, the wisdom.
Oh my god.
Oh my God! One time
Well,
I
they
was
were
so
the same,
tired.
too.
They were the same. One time I was so tired, went to the back of the room and ate an apple to have some sugar, and Nancy saw me and I got in trouble.
for eating an apple in the back of the auditorium.
Oh my God.
I got in trouble
naughty.
once. I got in trouble once at the center, at your center, Vancouver Center, for, you remember this, Aaliyah, because I came to you and was like, what the fuck? I got
hope it wasn't me.
reprimanded because it wasn't you, because I was wearing like a sweater or something, or I think it was like a blanket because it was freezing in there. And I had like,
look like
I
a
put
homeless
something,
person?
and I wasn't in rapport. That's why someone had a big reaction. Someone had a reaction
Stop.
when I was
don't
coaching.
remember that.
And I remember because I came to you and I was like, what the fuck? Like, that was a big red flag for me, that I got in trouble as the coach because I wasn't in good enough rapport, that this person had a reaction to the material and couldn't have been the material. Right?
Could have been your terrible report.
Yeah, it must have been my report. And so I got in trouble. And I remember coming to you and talking to you about it, Aaliyah, and you were like, well, everybody, all the like leadership, all the proctors just got back from like SOP. And so they're really taught, like, you know, not to indulge any of their like female, you know, comfort, whatever.
Satiative.
Yeah.
Well,
so-
shit got real strict after SOP. I like remember. Oh, speaking of chapped my ass, Sarah, do you remember when you got best ass and I got best tits award at our SOP intensive?
Which is, you know,
Because we were-
also true.
That's not
also true.
Which is also true. But we were shamed for it. We were shamed
We were
for wearing
shamed.
clothes that were revealing.
My jeans were too tight.
Not by me.
It's hot. Yeah, not by you.
Not by
no,
me.
Nippy was an angel during SOP.
Yeah.
I thought that shit was funny.
There were some things that were funny.
I mean, it wasn't from a place of like, hey, look at the derogatory. Like, we were all in there laughing at it, but the serious side of it is that the psychology behind it was intending to do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we were being used as guinea pigs to carry out someone else's clandestine agenda.
Exactly. And I mean, and that's where it was always confusing because, like, on one hand, there was the notion that, like, the lesson I think that was being exhibited was like, men won't take you seriously because they're just going to be looking at your tits or looking at your ass. And so if you want to be taken seriously, like, you have to dress in a way that, like, isn't diverting their attention. And so, I mean, in a way, it's like, well, fucking, you know, that's on them to also, like, you know, see you as a human being. But it's also like, okay, well, that's true. Like, if I want to be taken seriously, maybe I shouldn't have as much cleavage. And so there was always a way to, like, understand and justify the so-called
Exactly.
lesson. But then there was the subversive shame and control. I mean, after that, I remember I completely, like, my femininity slid away from me in so many ways, I think, throughout. Not just through that, like, SOP definitely did that, a lot of that. But also through just the nature of, like, the hustle culture that, like, ESP was, the just constant working, doing, busy. Like, I was not resting. I was not, like, luxuriating in life ever. It was just like there was always something to do, always something to work on. And so, I mean, like, to get more personal about it, I remember towards the end going and getting a hormone test done because my partner and I were trying to have children. And it had been a period of time, and we hadn't really tried, like, really diligently, but I was like, maybe I'll go get my hormones tested. And I did a comprehensive hormone test, and the person reading the results was like, Aaliyah, there's no possible way you could get pregnant with this low of estrogen. Your estrogen levels are so low. And I just remember intuitively going, I'm not in my feminine. Like, I just knew that something was off. But I didn't equate it to, like, the cult, to my relationship, which really didn't support me being in my feminine. And I was like, I just need to dance more. I need to do more things. But it wasn't until everything fell apart, my relationship ended, and my intuition woke up. Wow. I couldn't wear pants for like 3 months after. It was really bizarre. Like, my feminine was screaming to come back to me. And I started following my intuition. And then about 8 months after it all blew up, I went to the doctor again, and all my hormone levels were balanced.
That's amazing.
Isn't that
That's
wild?
so okay. That's so crazy. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, you articulated why it was dangerous, and then ultimately, I think, what that can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. For more background on what brought us here, check out Sarah's page-turning memoir. It's called Scarred, The True Story of How I Escaped NXIVM, the cult that bound my life. It's available on Amazon, Audible, and at most bookstores. Highly recommend, of course, because she's my wife. And now, a brief message from our Little Bit Culty sponsors. Remember, when you support our sponsors, you support our podcast. Break time's over, people. Let's get back to this episode of A Little Bit Culty. It's a good one.
I think that we're taught to like your feelings and your intuition are an inconvenience to rational thinking, right? Which like fucks with the rational inquiry model.
Feelings aren't real.
Your feelings aren't real. So it did make a lot of us more quote unquote productive because we didn't have to deal with our emotions and stuff. We could just like progress and like accomplish our goals and do
Just
all this
change your
shit
state.
but without feeling.
Yeah, we were robots.
And so we were taught to, and I didn't really realize that until I watched season 2 of The Vow, which really had a major effect on me. I found it really difficult to watch season 2.
How so?
I don't know exactly what it was, but it was hard for me to watch the Nancy scenes and really see her working through it in real time, like what had been done. Like you could see her kind of working through it and figuring out like, how did I make these decisions? And like, it couldn't have all been bad, right? And I think that realizing as my own intuition came back online after a while that's really what they did was they dismantled our intuition, but like in a slow bunny boiler, like just a real slow roll, you know? And so making that realization was like, oh, fuck, that's what happened. That's why I feel so much better in my life right now because I can trust myself again. And all it did was dismantle trust so that you would put your trust in something else being the answer. The next thing was going to help you. And so I think that's what Aaliyah and I really like focus on in our own work and in our podcast as well, but really like helping people tune back into their intuition and trust themselves above all because everything you need is inside of you.
Such a different message.
Yeah.
The opposite of dependency.
The opposite. Yeah.
And NXIVM really, they sold you on that's what they were doing. Like, remember, we're teaching you how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
But yet, it was like, there was like, some of that was happening, but then underneath they were like, but here's really what to think. And there's always, like, the notion of your life issue, figuring out what your life issue was. It was like, here's the thing, the problem that you'll never fix, and we'll just keep you coming back to it and like dependent on this problem that is never going to go away.
Explain for our listeners who don't know what a life issue is.
Oh my God, I think you could probably do a way better job than me, but please.
Well, whatever it is, it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
what they
but
claimed
what they said it was
is your life issue is kind of the filter through which you make all your life decisions for. It has upsides in it because you developed it as a survival means, but it has limitations in it, and the limitations are showed up in these monumental parts of your life. And in order to evolve them, you have to work the curriculum in order to evolve it so it's not rooted in some sort of fear.
Yeah. And if you have a problem, it's your problem. Like, why is that a problem for you? And so there's never a way to get out of it.
And you can see your life issue in every decision that you make.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to pull mine up. I haven't looked at it in a while. For example,
For example.
So for example, like you know what? Oh, no, it is in here. That's cool. I have a new computer. They would do things like basically have you feel like there was one particular way that you did life, like say you're an accommodator or a people pleaser, that have you be like, because I feel like shit internally, I'm going for external validation always. And that was sort of like it's like your general pattern.
It was always painted as bad, though.
Yeah, it was like your general pattern. And then you have to talk about like the effects of that. And then once you passed your life issue, once you got it approved, in other words, you'd have to show it on paper to somebody else, and somebody else would say, yes, that's it. That's what you do. Then you'd have to write a life issue plan to fix your life issue. And then you'd have to pass that. And then to get to the next stripe, you have to demonstrate that you are evolving your life issue, for example.
Right. And so I can give you a little caveat too. I'm sure you guys experienced this. You write up your life issue as though you understood it, and as like a proctor helped you figure it out. You take it to get approved by someone, they wouldn't approve it. You have to go back and do it. You go take it to somewhere else. they'd approve it. So there was no consistent standard from what constituted
Just
your
like an
life
EM.
issue. But if someone wouldn't approved it, and then Lauren didn't approve it because she had final say, she's like, no, that's not it because I see them doing X, Y, and Z. It felt arbitrary.
So arbitrary.
Even if you did have a, quote, plan, because the defining of the problem was always nebulous, your next step was always going to be vague as to what it is that you had to do to evolve something that you can't actually necessarily define.
Super subjective.
Moreover, like, I think mine had something to do with, like, well, I'm attached to my results, and I can't have value or feel value for myself because I'm attached to my results.
So you're externally motivated.
So I'm
with your
externally
results,
motivated.
yeah.
I only do things to get the result. Well, no fucking shit. Why else am I
human.
doing it? Yeah, there's some other things in me that the reason I might be doing it, I need to feel good about myself to have results. I need to, I'm attached to them. Sure, those might not be that healthy, but that's not going away. That's the catalyst for why I do what I do. Those are also rooted in a principle of achievement, wanting to build something. Like so they made the catalyst for why you do things bad. And then said you had to go work on it.
Well, the most fucked up part about all of that is that it's someone else deciding for you what your thing is.
Yeah.
Okay,
And saying
I'm
you
just
didn't
gonna-
get it right.
I want to read this to you.
You didn't get it
You didn't get it
right.
right. You didn't get your
The
life
fuck
issue
you in my
right.
head, yeah.
Go fuck
Exactly.
yourself. This is not mine. I don't know whose it is. It just came up in my search, but I think this gives a sense. I create the story around a viscera. It's a feeling that I'm not good enough. I try to disprove this feeling through achieving accomplishment and affirmation, sometimes through obligating and suppressing myself to get the result. If that doesn't work, I get angry and punish because I'm judging myself as not good enough and fighting it, or else I swing to the other extreme and give in to the story and suffer. Why bother? I check out and disconnect and wipe out any value I've built to reinforce the not good enough. And when I do cover the deficient feeling through external things like achievement, money, material validation, I experience myself as strong, hopeful, and motivated because I feel like I'm finally good enough and that I can do anything, and life is full of possibility when I cover the feeling. So
God.
what's fucked up about that is that I don't know who that person is, by the way.
That sounds like you.
It's not that.
No.
It
I thought
sounds
that
like
was you.
everyone. It
That's
sounds
me.
like everyone.
And that's not mine because I had a name for my feeling.
Dismissible run.
Dismissible runt was my feeling. Is what I
I
called
thought
it.
you said dismissible Ron. I was like, I like that better.
No, runt. Little runty Sarah is my internal visceral feeling
That's how I have
of
to go. Are you
myself.
feeling dismissible right now?
Talk about like the opposite of self-love. Just like let's look for all the problems.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
What's crazy about that statement too, which I think we all can relate to, is that when that person describes getting the thing that they're in NXIVM to get, which is the results, then they feel like bad because they're not actually enjoying their thing. They're just covering the feeling, which was also bad. Remember, like if you got something good, you'd be like, well, you're just covering your viscera.
Yeah.
Life
Which is
issues
su-
are like horoscopes.
But that's such a contradiction. Like
I
we
could-
were never allowed to get the thing we came
It's
to
all a
NXIVM to get.
contradiction. That's the thing, to keep you confused, to keep you buying the next fucking course.
Yeah.
And yet there was so many like processes and things that you would do in my experience anywheres where I felt like, holy shit, I feel like, like I would use EMs to, I remember very distinctly, I booked my first series regular. I was like, oh my God, they're going to find out I'm terrible and fire me. Like I was on my way to Toronto to film and I was freaking out and I got an EM and it dealt with that irrational fear that like they're going to fire me when I show up because they're going to realize I'm a piece of shit and I'm not a good actor. I got an EM and I showed up at work and was like, I'm here to do my job and this is fun. And it wasn't, I like was able to, and I did that before. I remember a chemistry read once because the same thing, I was like, oh my, just so nervous and thought had like an idea that this was the thing that was going to like, make or break me. And because I did the EM, I was able to go in and just be like, I'm here to have fun. And I booked the job. And so there was like, like it worked. And that's why you
there was
stayed
good
because
stuff.
you were like, there was so much
there was
good
good
stuff. Do you remember Spirit Cock? I had to.
Spirit cock.
Oh my God.
What was the spirit cock?
I had to bring this one up because you guys were both there for it. I think it was Human Pain.
I do remember that.
Yeah, because I remember being
I
in
don't
your
remember
car,
what it was,
Nippy. I
though.
remember driving. Okay, I'll paint the picture. Okay, so it's a level 2 in Albany.
Oh my God.
It's a level 2 in Albany, and I'm getting some sort of like process done on me by Michelle, who I fucking loved because Michelle was
awesome.
kind of like
Yeah.
the rebel. Michelle was
She's
like the
fucking
rebel
great.
sister.
Yeah,
She was
she
fucking
Dude, I
great.
had some of my best laughs with Michelle.
Oh,
Yeah.
she was my favorite. So Michelle was, leading me through this process, and the end of the process, I don't remember what exactly was happening, but the end of the process, I remember, maybe it was Moby's, I think it was Human Pain, where you overlaid love on top of something and then just amped up the love and amped up the feeling of love and amped up the feeling of love. And I amped up the feeling of love so much that I had a full body orgasm, like a full body, like energetic orgasm. My whole body was just like vibrating. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. Oh my God. And then, and then I remember very distinctly driving with you guys for lunch and being like, you got, like, my body was still vibrating and being like, I just got fucked by a spirit cock. Like, I don't know. And then it got back to Nancy, and she was like up at the front of the room, and she was like, I hear somebody had a good experience earlier.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it was just purely
Not a
the
sex
feeling
cult, though.
Not a sex cult.
Yeah.
But like,
Just a
but
spirit
that's
cock.
just that's an example of like that's just me turning on the feeling of love, like,
Yeah.
and building it and building it and building it to the point where, like, yes, energetic orgasms are real and these things happen, and I've experienced that since, but it wasn't the organization, like, but because I had that profound experience.
Right.
It's like I equate it to like the tools and the processes and the things that we were doing there. And I think the thing that really kept me in ESP for so long is I had this story that it was the fast track. Like everything else felt slow. This was like the way to cut through shit quickly. And I wanted like the quick, fix. I wanted to be free from my limitations as fast as possible. And so those kinds of deeply emotional experiences where I felt like I eviscerated fears quickly kept me hooked on the sort of this is the way. This is the thing I need.
Yeah, same. That was very addictive. And as you were talking about human pain, I remember being in a training with you where it was that human pain exercise where you think about somebody in your life that you love, but like also could be irritating. Maybe.
Yeah.
And you take something, it doesn't even nip you aside. I had a hair elastic, I remember. Do you remember this? We had a hair elastic and we were like, they called the last remnant exercise where like you picture the person that you love and then you think that this is the last thing of theirs that you have and they're gone.
Yeah.
And then you would like imbue this last thing with all the love you have for that person. And you and I were just like emotion. We were just like this. Yeah. How do you say you went to theater school without saying you went to theater school?
Totally.
We're just like, this is the best emotive, emotional exercise ever. And those things were great. You loved those, did you not, Nippy?
Those are the trainings. I went for a long walk, took a little nap in the back of the room, went to go pick up Troy for about an hour and a half.
Right. Yeah.
Those
my
were just
gosh.
painful.
Those
for
were
me.
hard for Nippy.
They were
Do you,
boring.
Nippy, do you still stand by? I remember after shit hit the fan and everything broke up, I remember having a conversation with you like a while after, and you said, if someone was to just go and do this 16-day and then walk away, they would get good shit. Like it would be a valuable experience and it might help their lives. But it's the continuation of like going deeper. I'm pretty sure you said something like that. I don't know if you still think that.
I'd still take, there's certain aspects of the curriculum I would for sure use.
The full 16-day?
Not the full 16-day. I don't think state modules are particularly.
What about just the
some of
5-day?
them. The problem is that you mess with language. And so once you start to mess with language, which is the first thing they do, you have to do certain things. You take out the obedience exercises and messing with language, because language is tools of thought. And if I'm informing the tools that are going through your head, that means I'm informing your behavior on some level. Like it doesn't have to be necessary for bad, but I'm just establishing that I am now in some way informing your behavior because I'm using words as tools. And so I don't think it's healthy to give that over to anyone. Take them out of context and like the tools of goals, the tools of understanding your value, being in integrity with all your exchanges, figuring out why you give your value away sometimes or why you feel entitled to things, or is all very valuable stuff that life teaches you anyway through mistakes. So I wouldn't say go do a 16-day to get to your destination. I think life will teach you that. So a lot of the things that I kind of felt like, Sarah and I are in a position right now because we built something, but I don't think we wouldn't have done that anyway with our lives.
We probably wouldn't have a podcast
Yeah,
about
and I don't
cults,
think
but-
ESP. I don't
Just
think
guessing.
ESP and the curriculum or stuff made me more successful or was going to make me more successful because how I commit to things that I like, I normally end up doing well in just because I'm willing to put in time. It's not like it's talent necessarily, and I don't think ESP or NXIVM is going to make you more talented.
No.
Right?
No,
So
I
think
have a caveat.
that's one of the things that I think just hard work. There's no substitute for hard work, and you can get better at hard work through mistakes. And ESP doesn't really facilitate that. It gives you an intellectual understanding of that. Short answer, part of it. Long answer, no.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean. I'm hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't.
A Little Bit Culty is a Trace 120 production, executive produced by Sarah Edmondson and Anthony Nippy Ames, in collaboration with Amphibian Media. Our co-creator is Jess Temple Tardy, audio engineering by Red Cayman Studios, and our writing and research is done by Emma Deal and Kristen Reeder. Our theme song, Cultivated, is by the artists John Bryant and Nigel Aslin.